Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm, and as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company. Thank you so much for tuning in. So I first and foremost hope you had a great holiday weekend. I know I certainly did. It was a wonderful time to get a little bit of rest, not a lot, but I got some rest. And I also got an opportunity yesterday. My church, Bible Truth Ministries, had a family fun day in which we all got together and played games and fellowship, and it was a really good time. And so that really topped off my Easter weekend. Had a fabulous weekend, really. And also want to say, before we dive into today's topic, a huge congratulations to the Carifta team, the Bahamas Carifta team, who captured 17 medals, finishing second overall in the Carifta meet held for the first time in 2 years in Kingston, Jamaica. And our athletes did us very, very proud, coming home with a second place overall finish. A couple, I think about 5 gold medals, about five or six gold medals, and 17 medals overall. So a huge congratulations to our athletes for a job well done. You know, Jamaica is a powerhouse when it comes to Carifta on a good day. And the fact that they were at home made it even more difficult, I think, to try to put in a dent to their record of victory. I'm not hearing myself in my headphones. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if it's the connection, but I'm still not hearing myself. The Prime Minister successfully put in a bid. I can hear myself now. Successfully put in a bid for the Bahamas to host the Carifta Games next year, the 50th Carifta Games on the 50th anniversary of independence. So you know that's going to be a huge celebration. And hopefully, seeing that we will be at home, we will have a lot of athletes who can qualify for that Carifta team and really give us a fighting chance. But congratulations to Jamaica for continuing your reign. And a huge congratulations to Team Bahamas for a job very well done. So, you know, in the Bahamas, we are very good when it comes to sports and celebrating sports and understanding the power of sports in terms of helping to develop discipline and all the good things that sports does. And one would only wish that we could collectively understand with the same degree of excitement how important it is for us to look at these other 3 pillars that contribute to the development or the excellence of a nation. We're very, very good at excelling in sports, especially considering our size as a country with less than 500,000 people that can make it all the way up to the Olympics and win gold at that level. So we're always quick to celebrate that. But what about education? How are we faring as it relates to education? What about our quest to develop a viable energy plan? Because we see what's happening now around the world. When you put all your eggs in one basket and something goes wrong with that basket, that leaves you in trouble. I had to go put gas in my tank the other day, and I figured I was already at half tank, and I figured $50 would get me full. Think again, Michelle. Did not get full at $50. I say, matos. So yeah, what if we spent as much time as we do in terms of celebrating sports, celebrating or at least seeking to understand the economy to the degree that we are able to help more Bahamians achieve economic emancipation? What if we spent as much time and energy celebrating that? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the 3 pillars that lead to excellence in a nation: education, and they're all interconnected: education, energy, and the economy. And joining me today, I have 3 guests who are going to be joining me today. One of them hasn't come onto the stream as yet, so I'm hoping that he will join us sooner than later. But joining us here on time today, surprise, surprise, C. Alan Johnson. C. Alan is known to be 2 o'clock. The show started. He sent me a message. I just get home. I just get home. Okay. Welcome back, C. Alan.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Graham Weatherford. Graham, I think this is your first time appearing as a guest on my show here at Global, eh?
I think so. So congratulations to moving up. And, you know, it's amazing with Carifta, us with 300,000 people beating 5-6 million people. Including Haiti, I guess we beat about 20 million people. And we took 17 medals from 20 million people. Us few little 300,000 Bahamians, huh? Let them know.
Yes, we have reason to be proud. Now, we got a whole year to prepare for next year.
And the way we prepare, Michelle, and I want to thank this government for bringing back the Bahama Games so that we can find who is the best of the best throughout our country to send to Carifta and the Olympics. Because before, we may not have gotten the best of the best, and we still win gold medals.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I know one thing. Energy is going to play a huge role in the success of those games.
Ain't nothing you could do in a high-tech conceptual economy that C. Allen always speaks about. Right here, this guy. You know, it's very, and C. Allen has said it, so I have to give credit where it's due. He's always said that his message and my message have always been consistent. Even if I'm dead wrong, my message has been consistent, right, C. Allen?
Yep. But it's absolutely the energy. What happens is you have to understand that we have governments now talking about the green economy, the blue economy, the orange economy, the conceptual economy, the knowledge economy, the digital economy, and now the aquamarine economy, right? Even the circular economy, which is a subcategory of them.
C. Allen, one quick thing. You know what they will never talk about? The fuel economy.
But, well, this is what I'm saying to you. Every single one of them, right? Every single one of them are dependent on energy. In fact, the green and the blue economy is the center of everything now, which this concept of the aquamarine economy came about, is centered on energy use around the world in every aspect of our existence. And so you cannot have a green economy without engaging energy, a conversation on energy. You can't have a blue economy without it. The creative arts economy, what we call an orange economy, is dependent also on energy because it's codependent on these other economic models. The knowledge economy is about exploiting the information age, about energy and the information. How do we innovate? How do we transform the economy? The conceptual economy is actually about building tomorrow based on the energy economy. And the digital economy, the entire digital economy is a technology-enriched economy, and technology is 95% energy-based. So in essence, data and energy are the two currencies of today. And so the only intangible that you have data, which is the idea. So you take the ideas, data, and energy. So energy is the primary basis for what brings all of these economic models together. And if you hear the government now talking about this COP26, it's about energy consumption. If you hear them now talking about the green economy and what we're going to do with carbon credits and carbon offset, it's about energy. If you hear them talk about the blue economy and how it absorbs this and that thing about oil exploitation, it's about energy. In fact, COP26 and COP27 coming up is 100% about energy. How do we consume our energy use and incorporating of the byproducts of energy into things that we consume. So gasoline is a form of energy generation for cars and boats and planes to move. So was COP20.
So was COP21, I believe, in France, and we went to Copenhagen, and we went to for the last 100 years. We've been talking about this, C. Allen. We go and visit, but we never say anything or do anything. COP number one started with started the conversation. So what do you have to understand? What 28 years ago, what you have to understand is that energy is the basis of our very existence in the world as we know it. And so any conversation concerning economic development, education, healthcare, everything should revolve around the number one question: what is your energy quotient? I have IQ and EQ. Now we have the real EQ of energy quotient. What is your understanding of how energy integrates? What is your understanding of how you're going to resolve your energy needs to actually embrace these economic models that we so often talk about? So we have Michelle. We have energy. We have a minister of natural resources. We have now the first minister of Grand Bahama. We're waiting on a minister of Abaco, Eleuthera, and all these other places. We'd like to increase government size so that we can tax more. We have not done the energy czar, and that's what C. Allen's saying we really need to do. And in 2008, I became really vocal because I understood what C. Allen just told you. If you don't have energy, okay, if we pull the plug right now on the country's energy light, what would happen? Bam, we ain't got no show here. Hospital in chaos.
The other night, the light went off. I don't know if it was an island-wide situation, but a bunch of people just hit me up. Your light on, your light on, your light on. And I'm thinking, man, how are we going to truly, we talking about first world and all these wonderful things, but unless we put some serious systems in place, we just talking to hear ourselves. My third guest has joined us now. Let me bring him into the stream. That is the person of John Bostwick II. John Bostwick, can you hear us?
Hello, Michelle. How are you doing?
Hey, welcome to the show.
I can hear you well. Thank you for having me. And
yeah, this is your first time joining me as a guest here on Global as well.
Yes, it is. And so thank you for the invite. And hello to my two esteemed colleagues, Mr. C. Allen and Mr. Graham. Pleasure to see you all.
We got the powerhouse here today.
Yeah, this is going to be a good conversation because I got three brilliant men. I'm expecting some good stuff from you guys today. So how do the three, education, energy, and the economy, how are they linked? And why is it important that we do not let any of the three slip through the cracks, so that all three can bolster up this nation? How are they connected? How do they work together?
It's so easy, because if you're going to teach the way that C. Allen Johnson, and I'm sure John Bostwick, want to teach the children, we're not going to use the book. we're going to use electronics to teach them for the conceptual economy, as C. Allen said, and that requires electricity. And so, like, the whole thing is quite simple, Michelle. What is the energy policy? What is your energy security policy? I thought years ago with the AES Corporation in Bimini, I don't know if you were there at the time, we were going to get really affordable liquid gas. So it wouldn't spill and make a mess, because LNG is different from liquid gas that we know of. It's a liquid, but it evaporates. And that was supposed to come to Nassau to run in generators to get our electricity cheaper. And we could have said, forget the business license, just give us the free cooking gas in lieu of the business license. And at that time, cooking gas was a big issue. So I fought for that. And we missed on that opportunity. The Bahamas also had natural gas. Do you know there's a Honda Civic called a natural gas vehicle, NGV Honda Civic, and you can buy it for the same $30,000 as the other Civic. And if we had our own natural gas, you could fill that car up for $10. It uses the same gas as a propane, a forklift. So we understand what we're talking about. And we missed that opportunity. So we missed opportunity not just on the green, on going green with renewable energy, and I've been speaking about that from 1995 until my lips drop off, but it's okay, because sooner or later, Michelle, you've seen food prices double, and that's just on gas going up. What about when the fuel for our generators goes up and our light bill doubles, or those things triple? Where will we be? Around the world talking about going green. And John, I really appreciate you went over there to COP26 in Scotland, but at the same time, we're burning bunker C and probably a couple hundred diesel generators. So Scotland must be laughing at us.
Well, you know, Bram, I'm glad that you pointed out that there are those of us who are trying, and I'm glad that you went to proposals that have been presented over years. Education, energy, and the economy, and C. Allen will say, and will agree, I'm sure you agree, are inextricably attached to each other. I myself have attempted to present proposals to past administrations that involved actually tying all three together by the virtue of building greenhouses at every government school in the Bahamas, starting in New Providence, educational facility greenhouses to teach food security, food resilience, and to have those greenhouses powered by solar systems, and that the solar systems would be so substantial to power those greenhouses at every school that it would take the school property off grid and potentially create a microgrid for the surrounding area, so that the school, while educating, will be educating persons on the construction of solar grid systems, microgrid systems, on the actual manufacture and assembly of solar panels, because they would have actually been doing it at their school, that the school would become a source of energy for the surrounding neighborhood and a source of food, of fresh food for the surrounding neighborhood. These things have been presented to successive administrations at a zero cost, capital cost to the government, all based on power purchase arrangements, where that energy would be being provided to the school and sold to the school at a fraction, at 50% less than the current rate. And I say the current rate. The answers, Michelle, are more than present. I am just now returning from Jamaica, where the program that we had presented at COP26, which has also been approved here in the Bahamas by this administration. So I applaud this administration for having the wisdom and the sense to know that they have to embrace all persons who have answers and who have solutions. This is no longer something that we need to be in a discussion mode about. And this is one of the reasons why I fell silent some time ago, because I tired of talking myself. And I decided to put action where words were, and to prove that these things could be done. So that we have now gotten approval for in the Bahamas the creation of what we call an agri-haven, which is an energy self-sufficient agricultural complex that in its first phase will be producing up to 60% of what the Bahamas needs in its green grocery consumption needs, and over 60% of its fresh eggs in a carbon neutral egg production facility. So and that as being done by a self-contained, energy-sufficient closed-loop system, where we produce our own CO2 and our own gases for our greenhouse growth, and capture it all and scrub it all so that the project is actually as carbon neutral. So to say that education and that Wageningen University from the Netherlands is a component part, and that education will be embedded into the compound, embedded into the campus, such that the Bahamians will be able to become educated at every level to the university certification level in greenhouse manufacturing, it is fundamentally necessary. So without education at its core, when I wrote my national plan, now going into 15 years ago, gave it away to the country 10 years ago, fundamental core was education, as education is the cure for everything that the Bahamas is suffering. As I've said so many times, the Bahamas is suffering from what I call I theory, the attack of ignorance, idleness, and identity crisis.
Oh, wow.
Education fixes all of that. Okay, so education is the cure to ignorance, immediate. And as soon as you've cured your ignorance and you're educated, you can no longer be idle. And with education, you can come to know who you are. All right, you're no longer struggling with yourself and identifying yourself, and to identify ourselves in the future Bahamians as no longer employees and dependent, and the most dependent people, but as owners and producers of our own energy through Graham's home solar systems and microgrids. We should be producing our own energy. We should not be energy consumers. Nobody in this country should be an energy consumer at this point. We should not be talking about building LNG terminals out at Clifton. Yes, LNG is clean fuel, and yes, we're going to use LNG at our greenhouses, but only because we need CO2. And if we didn't need an enhanced value of CO2, we wouldn't be using LNG for any reason. And so we use the LNG to produce the CO2 rather than to have to import anything. We won't be importing CO2. So the move for the Bahamas, and add on to proposals, I have a proposal presently on the table to install over 300 megawatts of solar energy in New Providence. It is possible. There is land area. Apart from the fact that our rooftops, like Hawaii and other places around the world, our rooftops is our solar array. And it should be made feasible and possible through the right capital structures, through the right credit structures, which are available. We're sitting on $2.7 billion of money rotting in our banks here. And that money should be leveraged in such things as making the average person who can pay their light bill, giving them access to put solar panels on their roof. And none of us would be sitting here talking about ways to make money off of solar fields, because everybody in this country should be a producer. And we should be encouraging that. We should be encouraging the enrichment of our people, not just cheap energy through the enrichment of our people, because they themselves, anybody who's got a roof, should be an energy producer. But that is
John, could I ask you quick? Could I ask John? Hey, John, look here. What about the people who have a little extra money, right? There are some wealthy people here, and they have a bigger roof than some of the poor people, and maybe some yard space. What about if the government said, listen, if you need to put 10 solar panels on your house as a rich person, and you put 20 panels, we will give you an incentive, because the extra 10 panels will go in the inner city for free electricity for those who can't afford it. You see what I'm saying?
Microgrids.
Yes.
But again, this is what we should be doing. Microgrids. And Michelle, what Graham has given there as an explanation of how microgridding could work. So that where you have food stores and churches, one of the churches with these huge roofs and these big parking lots, the church in the neighborhood should be generating enough energy for 10 to 15 houses. And the church should be able to sell that energy to the grid, and then the grid sells it back at a concessionary rate to the other homes who are not able to have energy. Or if not even sell it to the grid, have a microgrid where that neighborhood is being powered by the church and the food store and the school, all together powering enough homes for Richland Park. Gentlemen, there's no reason why that should not be happening.
We actually have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good day, God bless, and good afternoon, Michelle, and to all of your esteemed guests.
Good afternoon.
This is JT calling in, gentlemen. How you all doing today?
All right.
All right.
JT.
You know, Michelle, first of all, let me say, and and I'm being a little facetious with this question, but has anybody walked outside today and felt the furnace that's out there?
I swear no.
You know,
I've been inside for about 27
you know,
months.
Jerome,
I
Jerome,
this morning,
Jerome.
Michelle, and I said to myself, when I stepped outside for the first time, I said, my Lord, that this outside feels like a low-grade furnace.
JT, can you hear me?
A lot of solar energy out there, but that only speaks to how hot this planet is really and truly getting. Now, what I wanted to add to what John Bostwick was just saying in regards to generally solarizing the whole entire Bahamas, me paraphrasing, of course, in respect to the rooftops. I just heard, was it 3 weeks ago, that this country is getting a non-refundable financial facility from the IDB or the World Bank or wherever they're getting it from for $9 million or so for the purpose of establishing three solar micro solar grids in the Bahamas. Any of you gentlemen know about that or heard about that one?
My question is, who's going to give
two
you?
would be here in Nassau and one in Abaco or two in Abaco.
Hold on, JT. Graham is responding to you.
Sure.
My question, JT, is
I
when
can't hear
anyone.
them, by the way.
My question, if you can hear me now, my
Can't hear them on the
question.
phone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
My simple question is, who gives you $9 million for free? What do you want for giving me $9 million? That's the first question before I could go into any of the other goodness.
Let me address the $9 million and a couple of points. JT, are you finished? Because I want to, when I start,
I'm not finished, but I feel free because I have 2 other contributions to make, and I'll then hang up after I'm done.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
No, I've heard about that. I've heard about that, but I'll address that and encompass in my response to when John is finished with his contribution. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, make your points, and then we'll go ahead.
Yeah.
Sure enough. Appreciate it. You want to say something, John?
No, JT. Go ahead. You finish your contribution, and then we will address your contribution when you're done.
Graham alluded to it, and myself and 1 or 2 other persons over the years from the 90s had been preaching solar energy, solar energy, solar energy. I am happy that, as someone has told me recently, that more and more businesses on this island, for sure, have now already gone solar. Not just going, already gone solar, making their rooftops solar energy generators. I came across a documentary some years ago about a solar energy factory in Stuttgart, Germany. This factory itself was powered by a 13 megawatt solar energy generator on its roof. And that factory was producing the very thing that it was being powered by. And my point in saying all of that is this. There is really and truly no honest to goodness reason why the Bahamas has not yet gone completely solar. And notice I said no honest to goodness reason. Because the reason I am convinced that we haven't as yet gone as far as we should have gone is because, in my view, the special interest out there in respect to the import of oil, who does not want their bread basket, the revenue from oil, to dry up. And we as a people are going to have to truly come down and put pressure on the government to discontinue these special interest treatments, because that has been happening at the detriment of the country. And I'll conclude on this note, Michelle. I'd like to have your guests respond to the application that was made by the Seminole group of companies to want to mine 5,000 acres of our crown land in Andros versus the Bahamas using Andros and other Bahamian islands as carbon credits to generate honest, clean, healthy, wholesome, revenue for this country. There's more to say, but I'll end on that note, Michelle, and hang up and listen to the responses. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much for
Let
commenting.
let me immediately respond to the special interest concerning the special interest in the country. I've heard that conversation for a number of years, and I've tried to correct it, but it is bigger than the special interest. It's actually our national budget. Our national budget, in fact, our entire system is a carbon-based consumption system for economic generation. If you look at where government revenue comes from, it comes from taxation of fuel. It comes from taxation of food, which is dependent upon fuel. Every aspect of our production is a carbon-based taxation system. Our very existence, our tourism product, our hotels and everything else, it's a carbon-based taxation system. The problem is that at the same time you seek to usurp the need to depend on carbon as we know it for our system, we have to have an economic system to replace the one that's there. When John spoke about putting a 300 megawatt system on New Providence, it takes about 5 square miles. And even I hear people talk about the roofs and the ponds and everything else. Yes, absolutely. If you look at New Providence, you can create the whole of New Providence can become a virtual grid. But the mere fact that if you put solar over water, you have a 20 to 25% more efficiency. The entire South Beach and other areas in the Bahamas provides a unique opportunity to do that. But here's what happens. If you was to spend $350 million, let's say $400 million putting in a 300 megawatt system, immediately you will cut your dependence on oil by almost 40 to 50%, because you literally during the daytime produce most of the energy that you need. Now, what happens now is that now that you have cut out 6 months of spending on that, 50 million a month or whatever it is that we spent with the government depend on taxation, the government now need a new tax stream to replace that revenue. And so unless you actually have a system of efficiency to basically move this economy forward, this is why the economy, education, and energy goes hand in hand. Because we can't proceed without resolving our energy consumption needs. And that requires a level of education, not just in educating on what we have to do, but educating our people in the shift to a new economic model that is necessary for us to continue the same type of economics that is there. So it isn't, you can't have energy, you can't have education without the economy, you can't have economy without energy, and you can't have it either. So three of them are intrinsically linked. So the problem we have is that we often have a conversation of each of these in isolation, when we should be having them as a pendium of information that actually is interlinked and interdependent upon each other. So we have to say, as we transition into this energy, what is the rate we can transition into this green energy? This is why we have not progressed, because the system that John Bostwick speak of, 300 megawatts, could be in the New Providence within a year to 18 months, right? Then what? The question is, are we prepared to transition to a new economic model at the same time? And we have not had that conversation as to what is that economic model, because essentially New Providence is that crab cage. We often talk about the black crab syndrome. And if you look at the black crab syndrome, the crabs in the cage are not pulling each other down. And if you look at it in the truest sense, they're helping each other up, just that the weight of the others keep pulling the other crabs down. And so what they've done is they've told you and convinced you that the black crab syndrome is something that exists. But if you go and look at the crabs in the natural environment, you will see them not standing on each other back or pulling each other down. So when you go back and look at the crab cage, then you have to recognize the problem is not the crabs, it's the cage. That cage for behemoths is the economic system for which we exist in. That is what how it's appearing as if though we're standing on each other's shoulder or pulling each other down. And so if we remove the cage, which is an economic chain or around our neck, which the first one is energy, we can actually begin to see a progress towards a new economic model, because the new economic models also is a poison pill to the oligarchs and the plutocrats. And because the new economic model will require more than New Providence, it actually will give way to more than just New Providence being developed. And the way that is controlled is by the political class, and everything controls that is by keeping most of the economic power within the gates of, within the cage called New Providence. And so adopting a green energy type environment would actually move, we need a fraction of the energy on Grand Bahama that John Bostwick speak of on New Providence. So, and you look at the other islands. And so these can be done. You talk about the carbon credits and the carbon offsets. We talk about aragonite, which is more valuable in the ground than it is mining. We have this hemisphere largest group of mangroves. We have the seagrass. We have the moss. We have aragonite. We have tidal energy. We have solar energy, which we generate 1,600% of the radiant heat that Germany does. So there's not a problem in combination of generating energy and actually using storage. If you take, say, Tesla battery, their mega battery, giga battery, you could buy a giga battery for $1 million. That'll store enough energy to run 3,600 homes for 1 hour. Should the energy grid go down? So when you start talking about this multi-grid and the multi-grids, multi-microgrids across New Providence, we do not have an energy problem. We have a leadership problem who would pull the trigger to actually let's move to transition it. I've heard John and others talk about when the world was talking about what is LNG. And so now the technology has advanced in such a way that we can now make the decision that we want to pull the trigger on LNG. And I think the advocacy, there's some methods, and I've spoke to some legal minds, and I'll talk to Bostwick after this, not necessarily on air right now, but there is a method for us to hijack this energy conversation and actually usurp what it's been doing. Because if you read the law on how it's proper and the promises made and our so-called desire to be involved in this global warming, climate change, green energy, green bonds, whatever conversation, this may be the time for us to push to actually have these things happen and have a conversation on education, because our education system, I hope we come back to this, has to be reformed. Our education system, we have a multi-decade problem on our hand, because these 2 years of education have created an environment that our education system has collapsed. And we are not talking about utilizing technology, which is energy dependent, which is the key to our economy being reformed. Our education must be reformed to basically catch up of doing whatever. And so Michelle, look at in every single one, just one to grab, every single time when you talk about energy, if you focus on energy, you will interlace with the education and the economy. If you talk about education, you will look at the dependency on energy and the need for the economy, the economy's need for it. If you talk about the economy, you have none without resolving education and the economy and energy. And so when you look at this as wholesome, you have an E3 problem to go with John Bostwick I3 problem. And so we just need to basically elevate the conversation beyond the limited intelligentsia that we somehow believe resides in the House of Assembly and in the Senate, because the collective intelligence of all of us will always be superior just to some of us.
Okay, we have to take a break. Hold on, Graham, stick a pin in it. Remember the thought when we come back on the other side of the break, but we do have to take this break. So let's do that. When we come back on the other side, though, I want to look more closely at the educational system that exists now and what we need to do to reform that so that it can be able to meet the needs of the Bahamas of the future, the ideal Bahamas of the future, taking into consideration all that we're discussing today, the energy needs, the economic needs, the need to emancipate our people economically. So we're going to talk about that on the other side of the break. Stay with us. This is GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, tints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here. And my guests today are Graham Weatherford, John Bostwick II, and C. Alan Johnson. We are talking today about education, energy, and the economy, the three pillars, three very important pillars that we must pay attention to if we intend to excel as a nation. Our telephone numbers to call in case you'd like to join in on the conversation: 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0272, 326-0272, 326-0271, 326-0271, or 326-0272. And the WhatsApp number is 824-9952, 824-9952. Now, prior to the break, Graham, you wanted to respond to something that C. Alan said. So go ahead, and then we're going to dive into what our educational system should look like.
Yes, Michelle, thanks. You know, I have a newspaper clipping from 2014 when the chairman of the power company said that we couldn't afford, and I'm paraphrasing, to have large companies go solar. And the reason being is those are the people who pay the biggest amount of money for fuel. So we could have a serious problem. Now, education must be extended to big oil. See, big oil may not know that they can transition into other forms of energy. And we should have looked at our own natural gas and our oil at some point. We may regret that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have more sun. We have more sun than we have oil and natural gas. We don't have a limited amount.
And that's why, see, Alan, that's why I'm not digging in my backyard for oil. I actually put in solar.
Okay, I'm just simply saying is that with oil, it requires a huge upfront investment and some fiscal contortionism whereas going to green is a simple process. We are now in the middle of a conversation with small island developing states in regards to the impact of climate change, which gives us a tremendous amount of access to capital that is needed to do what is necessary. The question is, we must have the political willpower. We must use actually the very education we talk about to basically educate the humans to the possibilities.
So that being true, what you said, C. Allen, Michelle, why did we not come back from COP21, COP26, any of these meetings with agreements to give Bahamians solar for free in exchange for carbon credits?
Well,
what did we negotiate? What did we negotiate this lap at COP26? Because out of all of us, you were there. What did we bring home?
John just advised me that he's going to have to leave for a 3 o'clock conference call. So let's let John give his final thoughts on this, answering your question at the same time, and then we'll continue the conversation.
You know, Michelle, I'm hoping that you have this conversation again, because it's a great conversation, and it's one that needs to be had at a certain level, and at a level that can be broken down for people to understand and digest. Graham is asking a bit of a facetious question, but it is a serious question, in that what do we negotiate? And in wrapping up and tying into some of what C. Allen said just now, he mentions things so very casually, but there are very deep statements that he's making with regards to the need to educate persons as to what is available. I have been blessed to actually have access to studies and be a part of studies. You hear C. Allen mention the photovoltaic hours of the Bahamas as compared to Germany, for example. He picks on Germany because Germany is a country with a fraction of the photovoltaic hours that actually paid consumers money for 2 months out of last year or the year before, based on their production of renewable energy. People were actually getting money back. The reality is that because we're placed on the tropical Cancer, the Bahamas has more sunlight hours than anywhere in the Western Hemisphere apart from Mexico, one little part of Mexico. And because of where we're placed in the Gulf Stream, we have more tidal energy and constant wind, trade winds, than anywhere in the region again. We are a renewable energy turbine in itself, a generator unlike any place in the world for renewable energy as far as solar, wind, and tidal energy. We have 9 knots of current in some parts of Nassau Harbor. We have 22 knots of current between Eleuthera and Current Island. All of this is energy and harvestable energy, green, renewable, constant sources of energy. I myself have a program and another policy project application to install windmills on the Great Bahama Bank, offshore wind turbines, each one generating 15 megawatts, producing in excess of 2 gigawatts of energy, where we can be a net energy exporter. We are not thinking right. We're not thinking at anywhere on the level that is right and is common in the world. We should be looking at hydrogen conversion. The gas of the future is not LNG, it's hydrogen. And hydrogen is produced very simply by the splitting of water atoms. We have the ability to be a monster hydrogen producer as well. C. Allen mentioned carbon credits, and Graham mentioned carbon credits in one breath at the same time. The truth is that between our mangroves, our seagrass, our mudflats, our coral reefs, our aragonite itself, which is ocean precipitation, our pine barrens, we are one of the greatest carbon sinks on the planet Earth. We're not even talking per capita, just per square mile, period. Most of those things are 5 times more effective at carbon sequestering than the Amazon forest. Mangrove is 5 times more effective. 1 acre of mangrove is equal to 5 acres of Amazon forest. 1 acre of seagrass is equal to 5 acres of Amazon forest. And so the truth is that we should be trading our carbon credits. We have no need to be looking at petrocarbons, although we have massive quantities of that too. And if we had time, I could tell you what I think we should do with that in trading on the futures markets at a state where we would never have to actually even pump it, because by the time they come for it, carbon would be a thing of the past. The truth is that the Bahamas, the education is there, the information is there. It's amazing to me that in the information age, we continue to choose to be ignorant, because ignorance is now a choice. Wow. Information is there. Information is in your hands, is in your cell phone, tip top. But we want to search what's going on with why Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. We don't want to search carbon credits and the value they are to nations and small island development states, so that we can know what to talk about when we're speaking to our politicians and our so-called leaders. So the truth is that the information is there. You are able to educate yourself now. You don't have to look to the state. But yes, our education system has collapsed. I think that that's a very important discussion. The truth is, what has happened is that the veil has been taken off of the collapse of our education system. Because if you're producing D average students and F average students out of the public school education system for the past 20 to 30 years, the education system collapsed a long time ago. All right. So COVID took the veil off of a failed education system. And so it now gives us the motivation and the encouragement to rebuild it from the ground up. And that's another discussion. That's a serious discussion, but also an exciting discussion because of the ability to cross the digital divide now. It is possible to bring education to the masses and put it in their hands. That too is something that needs will and leadership, but it is something now that can happen quite easily.
Something that you said, John, I think is so important. And it's a pity you have to go on that call. If the call by any chance ends early, come back, please. But something that you said just now, I think is so powerful. And you're talking about the problem is the mindset. You know what that reminded me of? Because before you said that, I was actually sitting here thinking this, and then you said that. We have been placed by God in one of the most enviable spots on the entire planet. Right. I mean, you can't
right
get
time,
any
right place.
right time, right where we need to be to live, all of us, not just 1% of us, healthy, wealthy, prosperous lives. God placed us. It's like we were placed right in the middle of Eden, if you want to use that as a term, right? Mm-hmm. But the problem is the mindset. And I know he must be sitting up there saying, my God, I gave y'all everything, and y'all still can't get this right. The problem is the mindset. And we can't divorce that from this conversation. And I know on the other side of the break, I did say we were going to do it in this segment, but obviously we didn't get to it. We have to talk about how we change, how we revamp our educational system. But that too goes back to our collective mindset. The only way we're going to achieve economic emancipation for the masses, the only way we're going to be able to revamp our educational system, the only way we're going to be able to take advantage of all of the natural resources that we have been blessed with, the only way we're going to be, listen, you talk about solar energy, wind energy, wave, and we have it right here. But a part of our problem is that, and I know JT touched on it, and I know you sought to clarify it, C. Allen, but a big part of our problem is that you do have a select few in this country who believe that they are the only ones who are supposed to be living their best life. And they are not incentivized to put these things into place that you and Graham and John are describing, because then that takes away their, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, they can't lord it over us.
Yeah, but Michelle, just pause. If you pause, let me tell you the problem is. The problem is, like John said, the veil, the chains have been removed. But if you were to tie a horse to a tree, and after a few years you cut the rope, the horse will not go further than the limits of the chain allowed them. So essentially,
yes,
these chains have been removed of us. It's now important for those of us who's aware of the shackles falling away to inform the other behemoths, the advocacy that, see, a few years ago when John and I and Graham and others spoke of these seemed like fantasy. Now the world is talking about it. So it's no longer we seems like mad men who they thought, oh, you all talk about these dream pies in the sky. So now that they are aware of it, it's time for us to break these down into digestible bites for them to be able to swallow and to individually advocate for their members of parliament to take position, not the political parties. They can hide to the F&M. But when you go to your very specific political member of parliament and insist that he adopt these positions, it's hard for 20 or them or more to go into parliament and then plead ignorance. Like John say, their ignorance will be a choice. Well, let's individually and collectively remove their ignorance, come together as an intellectual advocacy group, and move us forward. These are not pies in the skies. that John is bringing forward, that I've brought forward, and others have brought forward. These are implementable, actionable plan today, and we just have to now move into that one word you say, educate. Educate to empower, and we can actually reclaim and rebuild this country in a matter of a year or two.
Okay, so we're going to take this break. I'm going to give John an opportunity.
Michelle, I'll say this one thing. Can I say one little thing and then say goodbye? Yes. I just say goodbye and thank you so much for inviting me, and goodbye to Graham and C. Allen. It's always amazing to sit with big minds, and I really hope to have the opportunity. There was a time when it was the blind leading the blind in the Bahamas. That's not the case anymore. But the sadness is, it is the blind leading those who can see. And it's very hard when you're a sighted person trying to explain what you're looking at to a blind person. And the blind person has the authority. So that's something we got to overcome, you know. So I leave you all with that. And I look forward to rejoining the conversation if at all possible.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Thank you, John. Thank you. Wow. That's heavy. Okay, we got to take a quick break. Yeah. Man, in the blind leading the blind. Jesus, help us, Lord. All right, we can take this quick break. When we come back, we're going to look at our educational system and what we really need to do to fix it, because Lord knows it's broken. Bad. So stay with us. This is GPS. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, tints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company, along with my guests today, who are Graham Weatherford and C. Allen Johnson. John Bostwick II had to leave a bit early. We're talking today education, energy, and the economy, and more so the economic emancipation of our people. Our telephone lines to call if you'd like to jump in are 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0271, or 326-0272, 326-0272. One more time, 326-0272. And the WhatsApp number, in case you want to send us a message, is 824-9952, 824-9952. Yeah. Okay. So let me read a couple of the comments and then we're going to dive back into the conversation. And so we have here, let's see, Jillian says, the Bahamas is still waiting for John's 2020 vision plan under the FNM, ... waiting. Devaney says people will start crying when load shedding starts. Shake your head. And she also says, as usual, great show. Thank you, Devaney. And our ignorance will be our downfall.
They probably will start crying when the next batch of bunker C or diesel's brought into the country. And when they see, food prices basically doubled when gasoline went up, and they say it's because of the gas and shipping and whatever else. But what happens when the electricity goes up? Will we see another double? So the whole
we have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good day, everyone. Hi, Michelle. How you doing, ma'am?
Great. How are you?
Right.
Awesome. Thank God for life. Thank God for Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I want to take your mind back. All these guys, they obviously always do a great job in getting the message out. It's unfortunate that our greatest opposition, well, we have two. The first one is inability, if I can say that word for lack of a better word, to combine or unite our resource or commodity with one another for mutual benefit every 5 years. Trillions and trillions of dollars. My God, and we call him Jesus ain't listening no more. Because we take him for granted. We take in faith. We take in hope. We take in love for granted. We fear the verb, the third person, allies. If we become allies, that's the definition of being allies. But instead of us uniting and combining our resource, voting resource to be exact, we want to play party politics now. Our children, neighbors, brothers, friends, family, everyone dying from COVID, dying from the gun. On every street corner where there's a church, including church people getting killed. And innocent people like us, who you have to have a job, and everyone is professional. Jesus, okay, ain't been no university, but his name is number one on the face of the earth. It's because he united with his father.
Okay.
And closing, using a sentence. Allied his racing experience with his father's business acumen. Let me show them what I mean by that. I can't afford to fight two Fortune 500 companies now in my country. Your government gave us either our grant papers or your business license. Then we allowing foreigners to come and dictate in writing. Why? Because they know average warrior don't have no money. Why? Because our government took our money with highlight bills. Yeah, so I welcome this conversation. The energy, what needs to be given is you and I, you need to combine. We need to know what we are. We're the greatest resource ever on the face of the earth. And when we go, ain't gonna be no more like me.
Okay.
I don't know about you, but in any event, the two elephant in the room, and only the king can touch it, the anointed one. Psalms 2 says the kings of the earth and the rulers set themselves against the anointed one. You'll read it later. But at any rate, Michelle, and I close in with this last point. I really mean it, man, and I thank you for your patience. And this is the moral of the story. Until we combine our resources and say to America, while they building and trying to complete that embassy, while Wendell Jones is our ambassador to the United States of America, we need first and foremost for that is all of them sponsor the show, because y'all can hear the truth on this show. See, they say if I go against America, then they could kill me, because they could have killed me a long time.
Okay,
They
wrap
need
it up
to-
now. Wrap it up.
So, wrapping up, my friends in America, if we are allies, how could you allow your allies to starve to death? And we ain't no war with you. Okay?
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Man, Michelle, I keep it too long anyway.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back. Oh my God. Okay, so so let's talk now about the educational system. Yeah, what do we need to what should that be looking like as compared to what we have going on now? See,
You
I
want me to take
go ahead.
First, let me say what we have is we have a 19th century processes using 20th century tools to teach 21st century children. We have an education system that has slowly deteriorated, and for all sense and purposes, we do not have one now. Don't let anybody convince you that the charade we have called an education system is actually an education system. We have a shadow of an antiquated system that we are trying to rebuild, as opposed to recognizing that this building is burned to the ground and we need a new system. We need a new curriculum. Then we need a new processes and plantation, for lack of a better word, to be built for the execution of this new dispensation of education that's happening right now.
See, Alan,
Yes.
COVID, see, Alan, answer this. COVID burnt the school to the ground. After COVID, we're trying to herd the kids back into the burnt building.
Yes, you could. That's a good analogy. And essentially what happens is that if you look at what is needed right now, we have 50% of our population is unemployed, underemployed. Do not be fooled by the statistics. The statistics tells you 1 in 7, and that's a fairy tale statistics, with all due respect, because it doesn't count the underemployed, those individuals that's working 1 day, 2 days a week. It doesn't count anyone that hasn't actively looked for a job in the last 6 weeks or 6 months, whatever matrix they use, and the people haven't looked for a job because there's none that exists.
See, Alan, really quick. Can I build on that really quick, Michelle?
Go ahead.
See, Alan's correct. Tell me if I'm wrong here, because I like to know if I'm wrong. We had 7 million tourists, right? November 2019. We bragged about it, and pride comes before a fall, the Bible says. We had 7 million tourists. I'm telling you, where are we right now? At about 1 million tourists? And most of those are in the cruise ship. So if we had 300,000 people living, eating off of 7 million tourists spending whatever they spent, how many Bahamians aren't going to be able to eat with only 1 million tourists?
Well, this is part of the system where we have to have education to rebuild the system. Essentially, first of all, like your figures may be correct, but the extrapolation of the revenue coming from it is all a facade. Because, I use our tourism product as me having a food store at a business section, and I count everybody that drives by as a person who's involved in my business, as opposed to people who actually come in and shop. So and this is where we have the opportunity to use education to rethink and revamp our system. going back to those individuals that is unemployed, if you look at the fact that at the various different plantations that we call hotels, as well as the plantations we call cruise ships. I mean, cruise ships are nothing more than inclusive hotels on the water. Okay, everything that the tourist needs is already been given to them on these big floating hotels. When they go to these places like Atlantis and other inclusive hotels, it's the same thing. So what we have is a trickle down effect of the what we call chicken in the bag tourists who basically get off the ship and spend $25, $30, whatever, and a fraction of them come off, and then we call that an economy. Whereas the individuals who actually come by air spends, I think, $1,000 or more on doing their trip. So why are we then focused on the 5 million tourists that comes by boat that don't get off the boat?
Because it sounds good.
Right. So we are impressed with the numbers. And so I'm simply saying is that the revamping of this system with COVID did is laid bare all of the effects that we spent decades covering up. So essentially, what we have now is an opportunity to use education to rebuild better. I say build back better, stronger together. So the question then is, what will we as a people do? Will we just wait to be spoon-fed again? Or will we demand to be educated, to be informed of the new processes for which we can get involved? This is VRBOs, bed and breakfast, owning the TOR system where we don't have to pay somebody 60% to refer them to us. They're coming off the ship. Holding those same hotels accountable for the pollution in this new green and pristine environment, because they are one of the greatest polluters. Ships are one of the greatest polluters in the world. While we're crying about this so-called, we're being killed by climate change and global warming. Well, guess what?
Just the bottom paint alone on those boats, just the bottom paint alone, Michelle. We should investigate that. That would disturb you.
And that's not what they're allegedly dumping in the waters.
No, that's what I'm saying.
No, that's not the extra dumping. No,
I'm saying I'm not looking at the individual things of what they're doing. I'm talking about their collective impact on the environment.
Right.
From the things for the fuel they use to the garbage to the spillage to all those different things. We're talking about they have direct impact. So each time we talk about this billions of dollars we may get from their impact or indirect impact, we're now saying, it's like you're saying, like what you can do is you can come and dump garbage in my yard. So I'll charge you $1 and then I do $2 worth of damage to my yard. But the fact that you're not repairing the yard now, you say, well, at least I have the $1. And so now we have to look at how do we build and preserve our environment. So, well, guess what? It's now time for us to have a rethink and an education to the new economic possibilities of these very economic models we talk about. The green economy could put 10,000 people or more to work in the next 2 years. The blue economy can employ the entire population in the Bahamas. Then you talk about the creative economy, which encompasses culture and heritage, and as well as our history. The history of the Bahamas and the history of, in fact, the New World was discovered in the Bahamas. Then you go to the digital economy. We are geopoised by location and geopolitically in a position to act as the data central capital of the world. You know, with our Bahamas low tide. So we talk about fiber and interconnectivity, data storage, and everything else. We're talking about the knowledge economy. So the mere fact that there's 250,000 individuals in our employment pool is insufficient to maintain the type of economy we could build over the next 5 years. The problem is that we're not educating Bahamians into those processes and what is needed. In fact, in these new green, blue, orange, digital, conceptual, knowledge, and aquamarine economy, we do not need capital. That's what they don't want to tell you. We talk about these billions of dollars in the bank. I say, let them choke on it. We have the ability now, based on some legislation passed and the fact that there's lack of jurisdiction over access to decentralized finance, DeFi, as well as the various fintech technology that allow Bahamians to have access to global capital. The problem is they have not been educated on how to access those capital. When you say you want $500,000 to do something, or if you want $1 million to build a bed and breakfast, believe it or not, it is no different than actually finding 40 people, I think it's 40 people or so, or 400 people, whatever the amount is, to send you $5,000 or whatever it is to reach your goal. And so I'm simply saying is they're buying a piece of it. In fact, there's a process that, Michelle, I would love to come back and talk on your show. Let me give you a heads up on 2 shows. One is a process I've worked at for about 3 to 4 years to develop. It's called hospitality as a service or as a subscription. The same way you have software as a service, hardware as a service, and all these other different things in the technology field, it is a process that's been developed. Your good friend, Eden Mary Gator, has worked for the last 2.5 years to create a lab. She calls it FICA Lab, that actually takes a community in the Bahamas and makes them 100% digital, 100% green, and embraces culture, heritage, the entire orange economy, all in one place in less than 2 years, totally separating that island and its economy from the rest of the Bahamas, and catapulting it into probably into the 22nd century, and all self-sustainable, utilizing the international resources from the green, the blue, and as you know, on your show, she described the aquamarine economy. And the aquamarine economy is a blending of the blue, the green, the orange, the digital, conceptual, and knowledge economy as one. And the aquamarine economy can only exist in the Bahamas. But we'll have a conversation on that. But all of these things is educating the people on this. Now, what we have to do is we have a problem. We have at least 30 to 40 years of damage that has been revealed by COVID. Because the mere fact that we talk about people not graduating the 12th grade or the 11th graders, no, this has impacted every single grade in the Bahamas, even to preschool, has been disrupted and shown. We were already falling behind. So we are now trying to go back to an analog process of educating. Yes, and I know, with all due respect, I hear teachers saying it's good to come back in face to face. But if you come back face to face and you're teaching the same old information, then yes, it's easy to teach old information. What we need is a hybrid system that combines a combination of technology and face to face, whereas the teachers are not the teachers in the sense as we know them. You understand? So it's basically technology and artificial intelligence takes the teacher from 30 students trying to teach 2 minutes for each student for the hour they have them, into having the students live a 24-hour immersive learning environment. The teacher becomes more of an assistant to the digital education system that resolves problems and socialization. And so let's use an example. Give me another minute here. You have a person right now today that we just moved to the 6th grade that is probably on the 4th grade level. There's some in that same 6th grade on the 5th grade level. And there's some who've accelerated on their own, maybe at the 7th grade level, all in the 6th grade. So now you have a teacher that's coming back into a disrupted environment, trying to teach them all together as one singular entity, when we should be using technology to identify the strengths and skills of those individual students, have the computer take that child that's 2 years behind and individually move them up towards the goal of reaching where they should be, and the one that's only a year behind, individually move them up, and the one that's accelerated to even push them further. And the teacher then serves as a guardian, as a protector of the system when they come back to that environment and teach more about socialization and the use of those technology, rather than them trying to teach a classroom of mixed individuals, not knowing where those students are at any given time, by just standing in the class and pitching to them. We saw them do this during the digital classroom, but they just almost preached to the classroom. That wasn't teaching, that was preaching. Okay? And so teaching is to reach the students. And we're not using technology to do that. We have a small subset of 100,000 students that we need to design a new curriculum for, where the curriculum is designed to meet the needs of a 21st century Bahamas. And ignore what we have done, examine where we are today and where we need to go, and have technology act as a tool to help direct and move not only our students, but the 50% of our workforce that also need retooling. We have a civil service and government, these government people, with almost 40,000 people. that based on an analysis says that we only need 7,500 people to do what we got 40,000 people doing. But we can't move them away because we have not equipped them. So if we develop this, use education to prepare them while using this whole thing, we said this new economy and energy to prepare them to transition into these new jobs, we can then have a nice synergy of education, energy, and the economy to live in harmony for economic empowerment of our people. And essentially what I'm basically crying out is that we need a new social contract.
Very, very powerful. Which
Michelle.
it sounds, I can let you stop right now, Graham. It sounds very complicated, but it really isn't when you consider the power of artificial intelligence nowadays. It's really not as hard as it sounds. Go ahead, Graham.
You know, I'm trying moving forward not to have so many words. Just make it simple. We've pushed the kids back into the burnt down school building. They need to gather for socialization, like C. Allen said. And we're still teaching them with a method and giving them the same skill sets for the world that no longer exists. Like C. Allen has said over and over. Right now, I'm sitting here using the sun to power this phone, and I'm learning while you two guys are talking. Why do I need to go into that building that you call university?
Yeah. You know, it's not like this is not being done. Even here in the Bahamas, there are pockets of private institutions that are embracing technology and are, I would dare say, catapulting their students light years ahead in terms of where the students are who are unfortunately a part of the broken system that we are describing. So it's not that it cannot be done, but we go back to the mindset. We have to have the will to get it done, because I do not believe that the two of you sitting there and John, who had to leave early, are the only three in this country who knows this information. I'm not convinced of that. I know y'all are brilliant, but y'all ain't that brilliant.
But I've never heard anyone else talking about it. The only person I ever heard talk about this, and he spoke of it in an analog method, Michelle, was Jeffrey R. Davis. He said way back with Learning Resources Unit, when he used to help them, he said, I spoke of distance education, putting a satellite dish and a TV in every island and every settlement, because there was no internet back in those days. And he said, Graham, you went on, and I did, I went on another television station here, and I said when the iPad first came out, it was the fourth quarter of 2010, 2011, I don't remember, and I told Mr. J, I said, sir, give this device to every single student. You'd have people like C. Allen who could write a program or an application for school for this device. You know what the person actually told me? How you gonna pay for that? I said, you are the problem.
But see, that's the point I'm trying to make, Graham. It's not that they don't know what needs to be done. And in a situation where they don't know all of the details, all of the nitty gritty, then there are people like yourselves who do know. So,
you know what I told him, Michelle? You know what I told him? I said, you are the problem, sir. And this is a big journalist. I said, let me tell you something. You get Steve Jobs or Bill Gates to get their device and give it to your Minister of Education and say to him that you're taking an entire country using touch technology, not a mouse, you touch, preparing them for that conceptual economy that C. Allen keep talking about. And I said, in exchange for giving out 10,000 pieces to all our children, or 30,000 pieces, Jamaica would be on the phone tomorrow saying, I need 400,000 tablets to buy them because they don't want their children to be left behind. And I don't think the gentleman got it till this day. He's now out of country.
You started to say something, C. Allen? C. Allen, can you hear us? Okay, C. Allen may be having some issues with his connectivity, it looks like.
Now, listen, the way you prevent that is you get two internet service providers, one from the cable and one from the phone, one fiber and one old analog coax. But, you know, Michelle, it's really sad. 5G would have fixed all these problems. You realize if we cover the whole country with, lack of a better word, Wi-Fi, right? Yeah. You cover this whole country, Michelle, with Wi-Fi, and all of your devices just work. You put your smart TV there, it just works. You have your tablet, your child could be on the beach, in church, anywhere, learning. This place is easy to fix, but there's no will because somebody doesn't financially benefit, and I just leave it at that.
Yeah, we touched on it earlier, and that is the God's truth. And I know that C. Allen was saying that it's deeper than that, and I agree that it is deeper than that. But a major part of it is the fact that people will not benefit financially if everything that you are describing was put into place. It could actually affect their bottom line.
But they would in the long run. They would in the long run. They would, Michelle, in the long run, right? But they don't want to wait for the long run. They need to get this thing done within the next 3 to 4 years. And that's the biggest problem. Look at Singapore. Gentlemen looked for the long term and they kept him in power. But we don't have that long-term mindset.
True. All right. While C. Allen is working, trying to get back on, he's having some issues. Hopefully we'll get him back on. We're going to take this quick commercial break, and then we are going to talk on the other side of the break about economic emancipation. How does all of this, the education, the energy, etc., fit into this vision of economic emancipation? Is it just a vision? Is it just something that sounds good? Is it just a pipe dream? Or is this something that can become a reality if we all collectively had the will to make it happen? We're going to talk about that on the other side of the break. Stay with us. This is GPS on Global 99.5 FM.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, tints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
Locals.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company, along with my guests, Graham Weatherford and C. Alan Johnson. And we are talking today about energy, well, education, energy, and the economy, specifically economic emancipation. So economic emancipation is obviously one of the pillars that could potentially uphold this nation as we try to progress to become better. But there are some who are dead set against it. And I wanted to include the economy as a part of this conversation because when I'm talking about the economy, for me, it's not just enough to say, oh, we have healthy reserves, or oh, we have so many businesses that are in existence, or we have so many people employed, when the quality of life for the vast majority of Bahamians is less than desirable, because we have not made the wealth common. And so we have to talk about economic emancipation, what that really means, and how energy and education can impact our ability, can help us to really make the wealth more common, get more Bahamians. And obviously, not everybody is going to have the ability, because a major part of it has to do with mindset. And some people just have a poverty mindset. And that too will take re-education. But what do we do? How do we now truly usher in economic emancipation? Is it possible to do that, considering everything that we have discussed thus far in this show as it relates to the changes that need to take place in our educational system and our approach to energy? You're muted, Alan. Let's unmute you. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I say that when you talk about economic emancipation, it's something where someone has to be desirous of being actually emancipated.
Mm-hmm.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. But essentially what happens is that there's sufficient enough of us that we can reshape the economy if sufficient enough of us want to drink off that. The best thing that what Bahamians are very good at is copying. You see that in our business models. We see that in our behavior. You see that when we have our discussions, even in our legislature, we hear things like, well, we'll be looking to see what this country is doing so we can make a copy off of it rather than actually creating our own based on the circumstances for which we exist. Yes, you can look around for learning for principles, but what happens is I don't look at my neighbor's wife to decide how I will love mine. And so essentially what we have to do is that we have to look at this education system and understand that this shift that has occurred, this education, this miseducation that has occurred for the last few decades of our people will not be overcome overnight. But saying that copying and emulation is the greatest form of flattery, I think success is one of the greatest things that people seek to emulate. So we can identify those individuals within our country who we can begin to drink, who can begin to move to own the economics of this country, to disrupt the status quo, have them have access to capital that they think that is needed. You know, we oftentimes let's use the good thing of miseducation. We said that, and you hear Bahamians say it all the time, that banks only finance vehicles. The funny thing is they're absolutely correct. Banks only finance vehicles. The problem is they've never been taught what a vehicle is. An automobile is a vehicle for transportation. A house is a vehicle for home ownership and a form of wealth building. And a business is a vehicle for wealth. Notice the word vehicle, vehicle, vehicle. The problem is that to understand what banks do is the reason why they only finance vehicle is that if you don't pay for that automobile, they can take you out and put somebody else in who will continue to pay. If you don't pay for that home, they can take you out and put somebody else in. The problem is that when we have businesses in the Bahamas, we don't create it in such a way that the banks or finances can see a means of taking you out and putting somebody else to continue paying them. And so that's why you don't get finances for businesses. And so the problem is that we got the message right, we got the messaging wrong. And so it's the education of us on the processes for wealth building, the process for ownership. At one time, when we had a population of 200,000 people and 600 million GDP, we own, most of the Bahamians own more than we have now with a $16 billion GDP and double the population. How is it that we now have $16 billion a year coming directly into this country through the formal and informal economies, and we own less than our forefathers did when there was 200,000 of them and only 600 million GDP in 1973?
That's easy.
That tells you we've been going. I'm saying that tells you we've been going backward. But I'm simply saying to you is that the 21st century disruption that has occurred over the last 3 years has laid bare the tools for ownership if we are now allowed to be educated on how to embrace and use it. And we talk about rebuilding the hospitality.
See, Alan,
yeah.
You're 100% correct. Let me explain how that happened to you. Bimini started it, Michelle knows, and Abaco with their model, which meant we owned the bed, the sheet, the pillow, the knife, the spoon, the fork, the fishing boat, the taxi, the golf cart.
But those are recent. We're talking about 50 years.
Yes, what happened over 50 years is you got a bunch of fancy boats, big cruise ships, you got a bunch of fancy hotels in Nassau, and you got a lot of people making and being servitude jobs. Let me explain. Michelle, when you were on another radio station, I meant to tell you this. The young lady said she lost her job at a big hotel. And I said, best year you'll ever have. Start cleaning Airbnbs. Right. So she used the internet. She found Airbnbs, see, Alan. She cleans 3 a day for $100 each, high end, and she's making $2,100 a week. That's insane. But we never teach money. We don't teach young people or old people what money is, how it works for you. I don't want to own a house ever. You know what I want to do? I want to be making bank payments on 20 houses, Michelle. And each house I buy that's the worst house in the nice neighborhood, the worst house in Blair, I buy it with the bank's money. I scrounge up a deposit. I get that house, I putty and paint it, and I put a tenant in there. So my mortgage is $1,500 and I'm getting $2,500, right? A month. You know what I do next? I go to the bank. They see me making deposits every month and they go, you don't want to buy one next house, do you? You see, we don't teach this in school. What we do is we teach people, go over to the big hotel, get $300 a week, buy a car for a big fancy car and make yourself one $800 a month payment. You're done in debt. We do not teach young people, you don't need technology. You don't need anything. Start teaching kids money.
Yeah, but Michelle, even what Graham just described, it's been disrupted. Does no longer exist. In fact, I have a cohort that I'm starting with a number of individuals that wants to learn these new economic principles. Decentralized finance and fintech has disrupted that. If I wanted to, I would use the same systems that's been using, it's just been digitized. Digitization now allows you to do what Atlantis and Bahama and others have done for the regular person to do it. And so essentially what happens is if you could use this whole concept that Graham used about investors, if I wanted to build $1 million bed and breakfast that maybe have 6 rooms of high-end individuals, what I will do is simply find 500 investors to give me $2,000 and show them on paper on how they could benefit from their ownership in it. But there's even newer methods for which you can embrace, which I'm going to begin teaching this week. Whereas you can do the same thing of pre-sales, and then instead of using the concept of a timeshare, there's this concept of fractionals and other variations of fractional, and even pre-rentals. This is the whole concept I spoke of hospitality as a subscription, where you can have individuals lock in their vacation at today's prices for 10, 20 years from now into a 4 or 5 star environment where you live, and raise the $1 million that is needed that for you to build that and to be debt free and have full utilization of the revenue from it as those individuals wait to take their vacation, or trade it for even a secondary or graded vacation in another jurisdiction. And so there's methods right now that exist that we can begin to utilize to basically teach humans how to access capital. Because the problem is that we have taught them that money is real. Money is not real. And when we begin to teach them that ideas as what is real, that multiplies the fractional concept that we call money, that causes people to invest in you. And so what we have to do is we have to rethink how we've been doing things in the Bahamas. And these are simple concepts. These are been in existence for a decade now. It's just that these are new things to us. You know, all of a sudden, crowdfunding is new to us since 2004 when Barack Obama did it. Go ahead.
See, Ellen, we have a Minister of Natural Resources now. Michelle, how do we take our biggest natural resource, right? What is our biggest natural resource, Michelle? Do you know?
You tell me.
It's the sun. It's bigger than aragonite. One radio station will say only the sun covered the Bahamas, better than them. So if the sun is our big, and this is a free one for my friend Vaughn, Honorable Vaughn Miller, Natural Resource Minister. Let's use our biggest natural resource, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
How can we use our biggest natural resource and turn it into cash? Now, I can't tell you everything, but I sent you some photos, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if the sun could run a computer to give you cash every month? Don't get no better than that, eh? That's carbon neutral.
Mm-hmm.
That makes everybody happy. And you know what? If I had gone to Scotland, right? I wish John was here, because I would have gotten the Bahamians, the computers. I would have gotten them the solar panels for their roof. And Europe would have been happy because we weren't burning a generator to run the computers, right? But the byproduct, right? The currency would have been the Bahamians. See, that's a high level. I've never heard those type of talks in this whole country. Probably never will. But I do have the discussion with Wayne Johnson. You know him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you could put together a team of about 10 people in a think tank that could start generating the solutions for all governments to follow. That's what needs to be done. They do it over on Paradise Island. They network like you wouldn't believe. They network out west in the big areas, communities. They network. We don't network. So go ahead.
Yeah, what I'm simply saying is that when you look at what is available right now, right? For instance, let's say you want to get a bed and breakfast of 4 units, right? You take the 4 units that's available right now. There's 52 weeks in each, and if you look at them over 10 years, that's 520 units. That's 520 weeks. I know that's 4 times. Let's use 10 because 10 is the easier number to multiply. So you have 52 weeks. That's 520 weeks. If you used to take 260 of those weeks and multiply that by, say, $5,000 to give them access for 4 weeks anytime in the next 10 years, you'll factor that you will raise 260. What's that? 260 times $5,000 to basically. Let me just quickly do a calculation of that to basically finance your building. You now own that building debt free, where it's available 6 months out of the year. It's available, while 6 months of the year you are fulfilling whatever requirements that you have for it. So what happens is, but then what you do is you put that on a chain. You will collect, Michelle, you would have collected $1.3 million to build that building, that 10-plex.
Right.
And mind you, there's still some fees associated with the use of it. But what I'm simply saying is that now you still have 6 months of revenue that's coming into you for that building, but that building is now debt-free, low energy consumption, et cetera, et cetera. And so these are things that I'm going to try to be teaching individuals. What I'm simply saying is that the platforms and the processes for these are not new invention. These were things that Barack Obama legalized in 2004. when he became Prime Minister of the United States, and the world has slowly adopted it. Now it's accelerated. We are now talking about cryptocurrency. We're talking about tokenization of real estate. We're talking about stable coins. We're talking about, and the word crypto and cryptocurrencies are two different things. And so we're talking about crowdfunding. We have the platforms like ROX and others that's coming online, like one myself I'm bringing online. So I'm simply saying is, these are resources where, for instance, we're talking about a capital outlay of a few $1,000s for the purpose of utilizing another platform for somebody to raise that $1.3 million to build something that's debt-free that they only need to manage for 10 years. After 10 years, they would have met all the obligations for which they got that advance for, and they would now own that property debt-free. You have now owned a multi-million property debt-free because those individuals over the 10 years would have utilized directly or indirectly the pledges that you have committed to them. Or you would have had investors who would have invested $5,000 into this platform knowing that it's protected by tokenization that allows them to get a return on their $5,000 on a yearly basis or whatever basis there is. There is methods for us to take ownership of this economy. The problem is that you're not going to have the bankers tell you this. You're not going to have the merchant class or the oligarchs explain to you how to unyoke yourself from their chattel type environment.
They're not going to teach you. Right. They're not going to teach you about money. They're not going to teach you about money.
Right. And so what happens is that what I'm simply saying is digitization and digitalization of the global economy have created avenues for thousands of us to now move for these economic models. We talk, and this is why I want to invite people for Grand Bahama. On Grand Bahama, we are in need of 10,000 to 20,000 bed and breakfast. Would it make sense to bring a hotel on Grand Bahama with 3,000, 4,000 units, as opposed to 750 mom and pop?
I'd like to build on that, C. Allen. The Minister of Tourism told me. He said the Bahamas' biggest problem in the Bahamas is we don't have enough hotel beds. That's the biggest problem. And he was 100% correct, Michelle. Mr. Obi Wilshcombe said that to me, that we need more beds. I said, yes. What if we own them instead of having a big conglomerate build I call it a modern day slave ship. Why don't we build them for ourselves? Now, you can lease it out like C. Allen said, but I prefer to own it myself using some other methods. There's other methods to do it too, but some other things are coming that's going to be very scary, Michelle. CBDC, central bank digital currencies. When those come and we get rid of paper money, we've not taught our kids how to embrace C. Allen's conceptual economy without cash.
No, but Graham, I'm saying that I don't think we should confuse people, because all it is you're trading it's like saying you're trading your cash for a credit card. So I don't think CBDC are the threat. What is the threat to us is our ignorance of how the global financial system works. Yes. People have came into this country and have made billions of dollars. In fact, if you look at the WTO report, $3 trillion a year in commerce occurs within our borders. The problem is that most of those currencies are not physical transactions, but yes, they are documented as part of our global economic outlook.
Now so we have to have a point of order. I got to have a point of order on that. Shivargo Lang told me on a live radio station that number is not correct, and he laughed at me. And I asked him, what's the correct number? And we got disconnected. Let me say it nicely.
No, but I'm simply saying, I'm saying to you, right? It is what it is. It's been printed. It's never been retracted. The WTO has supporting information. If we look at the tens of thousands corporate entities that's here for docile purposes, if you see, there's no need to argue. We could argue that it's not 3 billion, it's 2.9 billion. I mean, trillion. So, but we're talking trillions of dollars as we talk about our GDP economy of a few billion. When
now that See, Alan, now that we have FTX, which is a crypto exchange, right, Michelle? And we have FX Pro coming, right? Commodities, etc. Are Bahamians going to be allowed to utilize these, C. Alan, or are we going to be
we don't need again, we're being distracted. You know, FTX is nothing more than a digital business, okay? And so what FTX has the potential of doing is, by virtue of the commitment of its founder, is that his commitment is to support nascent technologies and innovation as something coming up, that he has put aside $2 billion for that. So we have to look at that opportunity, as opposed to the fact is that I want to trade Bitcoin or something else. The typical person in the Bahamas does not have the resources to do that. So it's a fantasy talk. Now, if you want to, you could look at the fact that FTX provides an environment for you to create your own form of tokens and other things and put it on that exchange, as opposed to simply saying that I want to be able to go buy Bitcoin or ETH or Dogecoin. See, that's a misappropriation of information. We're very good at talking about the topical service of digitization, when we should be talking about the digital infrastructure development that is necessary for developing wealth. Buying a token after it's been mined for $0 using technology, and it's now 50 million, and sitting around hoping that it goes from 50,000 to 51,000 so you could get a part of that $1,000. That is not how wealth is built. If you look at Wall Street, it's those individuals that go in when those shares and things are a penny, and then those shares are selling for thousands of dollars. So this is where we have to teach. We have to teach the creative aspect of technology. You know, we talk about government with its digitization, digital transformation. We talk about the government infrastructure. We're not talking about digitization of the economy. We're not talking about digitalization of the economy. We're not talking about digital transformation of the economy.
We've only got 7 minutes left in the show, guys. Next steps. How do we fix this? And when I say this, I'm talking the triune, the three pillars of education, energy, and the economy, economic emancipation. What are the next steps? How do we fix this?
First thing we talk about is education.
Mm-hmm.
Education will let them know what is possible in the energy field. It will also let them know what is possible in the economic field.
So does that mean now we're talking about revamping our curriculum? What does that mean exactly?
No, that part of it, revamping the curriculum is the prior proper preparation and planning to prevent piss poor performances. That's for building into the future. Education now is simply telling you right now, today, what can be done in the energy sector so they can begin to advocate for it to bring down their cost of living and the environment. Education is, I don't need you to go back to school for me to teach you how to own a bed and breakfast and hire people to do your cleaning and maintenance.
Right.
I just need to teach you the proper money management steps of that aspect. So education is not just simply this classroom. Education is the methodology of thinking that has to be shifted, and most people who don't know must be taught how to. So we need a paradigm shift of education in our country that involves also preparing for the future by shifting our curriculum. But at the same time, for those of them that is capable to entering right now, as low as I say as low as age 14, for them to begin to walk them through, and we use the expression, I think I heard again posted on Facebook. I think again this was Eden Mary who said that internship is like a snack, apprenticeship is the meal. And so we need to take apprenticeship and feed people, teach them how to cook as opposed to giving them a meal, and prepare them for this new dispensation. If we just get a few thousand of us, we could transform this economy. So education first, then we move to energy, because that reduces the cost and automatically will build the economy.
Graham, let's hear from you. Next steps.
I mean, that's pretty much it, Michelle. If you don't have the energy, see, Alan's right. It's not sending me to school. It's actually teaching me skill set, I guess, for lack of a better word, for the conceptual economy, because what he's speaking to is concepts, doing things differently. You're not going to go get on a bus, go to a big hotel, make a bed. No, you're going to start making beds exclusively using the internet to find where all these beds are located, or Airbnbs. You're going to hunt them down and you're going to do contracts with them. But it starts that teaching that mindset should I don't know what should come first, teaching the mindset or keeping the lights on. Because if you see, we can't afford to put the diesel in the generators. if we can't afford to put the diesel in generators and keep the lights on, C. Allen will not be able to be heard by anybody except for people in his household. And if he goes outside with a microphone that's on battery. So I think the clear and present danger is not keeping these lights on and keeping them super affordable. And from 1995, been talking about it and just no one cares, no one listening. And now people are starting to see it in the food store. But when that hits you, they're going to be, if this light bill goes up, you're going to have a lot of power outages. So I'll wrap up with this.
Not if, but when.
Yes. I use the solar energy so that I can put my AC on quite cool today because JT said he's a little hot out. So the air condition is running for free. So now I'm using this, you said energy. So I'm using the sun, my biggest resource, to keep me cool while I self-educate myself using the internet and YouTube to teach myself about the economy and what I'm going to do next. We should teach money too.
For sure. So, Alan, let's have your final thoughts.
Yeah, I think what we have to do is, again, I'm not a big advocate of money. I don't believe money is real. It's a concept that of slavery, intellectual slavery. Ideas are real, which multiplies that concept they call money. I do believe that, Graham often talk about harvesting how many bed and breakfasts. Somebody has to own those bed and breakfasts. I believe that if we need another 50,000 rooms in the Bahamas, and we have 108,000 families, then that means 50% of the families in the Bahamas could have at least 2 bed and breakfasts, which is essentially a multi-million-dollar aspect of this economy. We could grow this economy by basically taking ownership first of the hospitality. Then when you begin to look at the tourism, remember, hospitality is what people experience, tourism is what people do. And so when you look at the multiplexity of the tourism industry, sports tourism, health tourism, wellness tourism, all these other different tourism, we have more than enough to the fact that we as Bahamians can own this economy, that we have to import the labor to sustain it. They will be making our beds. They will be mowing our lawns. We have e-buses and extra, we'll get rid of this so-called fight for taxi plates, because you don't need to fight for a taxi plate to drive around, because we'll have a digital transportation system that actually works for the benefit of the human people. And so this is the opportunity.
Somebody's asking you real quick, because we got to go. It's already a minute to 4. Yeah. When are you teaching? Real quick, C. Allen.
Right now, just reach out to me on social media or 825-9700. 825-9700. You can find me on WhatsApp, on social media. And I'm going to be choosing cohorts of about 25 people at a time. And as each one person age out, or what I say, educate themselves out, another one could come in.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. Really, really appreciate all of the knowledge that you brought. My time is gone. And thanks to John Bostwick as well, who had to leave a little earlier. That's going to do it for today. Tomorrow, ladies, we're talking menopause. You're going to learn a lot about what happens to a woman as she enters that stage of her life and how you can make your experience a bit more comfortable. So that's our show for tomorrow on our Wellness Wednesday. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good afternoon.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network and the operators of this radio station.